From the studios of TLC Talk Radio, it's TashaTalkz. I'm your girl, Tasha. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Catch us multiple times a day on TLCTalkRadio.com, 24/7 edutainment. And in the middle of this pandemic, we are worried about you. We're concerned that you're okay. Check in on our Facebook page, check in on Twitter. Let us know how you're doing. We're concerned that you're coping. And to that end, our phone guest today is our friend, Pastor Yo. Who is that? That's Yolanda Battle, the pastor of congregational care at Purpose Church and a grad student in the mental health counseling program at Roosevelt University. Welcome, Yolanda.
Hello. Happy Friday. Happy Good Friday.
Indeed. Yes, it is Easter weekend. We don't know when you're watching, but it's Easter weekend as we get ready to chat today. So we're talking about the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the words that my parents and I have been exchanging, not necessarily in description of ourselves, but just generally, we've been talking about going stir crazy or having cabin fever, or even maybe losing your mind. And so we wanted to kind of have a conversation about how people can still do well, still take care of themselves, still take care of their loved ones. And on a different show, we chatted about the difference between the nomenclature. So I always felt like social distancing was a misnomer. I think we're physically distant, but we are not socially distant. And so social media, to that end, has been a lifesaver, right? Like the thing about social media is that you get to get a variety of takes on a variety of things. And we're here in Illinois, we're in the shelter in place order. And it's been a challenge for some people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it is a challenge. And this was one of the first things that tugged at my heart when we had to do the shelter in place. I definitely understand managing this virus is spreading and saving people's lives. But I also thought about the mental health of people and individuals who were who suffer from depression.
Yeah.
Those who have to, if you're isolated, what kind of predicament does that put you in? Sure. For those who may live in a domestic violence situation.
Definitely that.
What does that do? Those who are managing chronic or destructive behaviors, if they're trying to live drug-free or alcohol-free, now what does that do when you pull them away from socialization with others, and when you physically distance someone, now you put more time on them to think.
Sure.
Or as what I've heard my grandmother used to say, and it's an old saying that the idle mind.
That's right.
The idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would think about, and I still think about. Even those who may suffer from gambling, they're like, well, the casinos are closed and the boats are closed. Well, there's online gambling.
Oh my!
And so
wow, I hadn't even considered that.
Yes, and so those who have shopping addictions. Think about that. You could shop online. And so all of those different behaviors that people who need constant or need that community to help them and work with them and guide them through their addictive behaviors, this is something that concerned me. And especially depression.
Sure.
Those who suffer from anxiety. now this has heightened the anxiety levels.
Definitely.
Because it's a lot of unknowns.
Definitely.
Every day we hear something different. And, the constant news of the deaths and the sicknesses, and that weighs heavily on someone who already suffers from anxiety. And so, especially when it's the unknown.
Yeah.
And you don't have, and those who have these special parts of their character may have ways that they can help, or they've been taught and they're learning to deal with these things, but now they have to stay at home, and maybe their way of coping is being outside in some form.
Having an
now you
activity
can't
to
do that.
Yeah, having some kind
now
of
you
activity.
can't do that.
Yeah,
So that's a lot of ways that there's also, we have to think about not just the mental aspect too, but I thought about the children who they may have gotten their food and gotten nourishing meals from school.
Definitely.
And they didn't get that at home. And children who just that dynamic amongst the family is tense. So now the reprieve for the child to be able to go to school, that was a reprieve for them.
Yeah.
Hours out of the house, or even for that other family member, or that mother or that father, the reprieve for them was being able to go out of the house and to do something else.
Yes.
Now we're all together.
Domestic violence.
What kind of strain?
Yeah. It is a strain.
Yeah, and exactly. You just heard on the news a couple of days ago that the calls into the domestic violence hotline has increased.
Yeah, because people don't have
and there's no outlet, and there's probably even more that's occurring, and people are just too afraid to call.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know who to call.
They don't know who to call, or they
don't know.
They're thinking, well, maybe it's just because it's this. You mentioned earlier that people know they're in a domestic situation. Well, some people knew that they were, living with an abuser. Well, some people didn't know they were living with an abuser until this hit.
Absolutely. Right.
It exposed that.
Absolutely.
So those are the negatives for shelter in place orders. What can be some positives then?
I really think there are some positives, because we are now in a culture where we're constantly moving, constantly busy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the audience can't see me use my air quotes. Busy.
Right.
Our calendars are always full. We got to go from one activity to the next. And I think in this season, this has caused people to just slow down. Yeah. And not even slow down, take a pause. Take a pause and catch your breath. Yeah. I think there's so many people. I've been encouraged to see so many people comment on social media how this has caused them to just let them just be still and take a breath and sit on the couch and get to know their children. Like, that was so awesome to hear, because, and some people may think, well, how does a parent not know their children? It's easy. Yeah. When everybody their schedules are full, and not knowing what the person likes and really dislike, now you're having to conversate with them, and you're seeing, like, this is what they like to watch on TV. But then you can ask them questions, and you can engage with the people that you are in the home with. It's so great to hear that people are spending their time with each other. Sure. Like, really spending time playing board games. Yeah.
Quality time.
That's a quality time. And in that quality time, that's how people are really learning about their family member, the people that share their home, they share communal space with each other. And maybe really learning how to live, truly how to live together.
Wow. And that's good. So in that space where we're talking about, we want to make sure that we get to know each other. We want to spend some time just pausing, slowing down. I know for me, this has been a time where I could get a lot done that I typically would dole out during the course of the week. So I'm an early riser. I've done a lot of work before I head to my job, whether that's cooking and cleaning, whether that's something for this station, whether that's booking, guests, whatever that looks like, whether that's, reading up on some real estate stuff or sending out contracts. I've had an opportunity to actually do it, not feel rushed, not feel like I'm juggling. I can take today and make it radio day. I can take tomorrow and make it real estate day. I can take the next day and make it forensic files, lay across the couch day, because I have the time. What does self-care look like? I know those are some examples, but what does it look like during a time like this?
Well, the first thing I want to say that self-care, it looks like whatever that individual thinks self-care looks like to them. Okay. As long as it does not cause harm to themselves or anyone else. Great. And so self-care, it used to be this whole, you're being selfish if you're thinking about yourself. And I think now we're in this mindset that you can't pour from an empty cup. Indeed. I say it all the time. And if your soul and your psyche is not full, you're not taking care of not just yourself mentally and emotionally, but physically. Yeah. I mean, a long shower, hot shower, can be what dignifies self-care for someone. Yeah. If your routine as you jump in the shower, you take, it's a 15-minute because you have to get breakfast together, put your lunch together, make sure the kids are ready, get them out the door, get them to school, get to your bus stop so you can get to work. Yeah, it's go. Having 30 or 45 minutes in a shower, maybe not 45, but okay. Like you can run out of water. Or maybe. And it's going to turn cold. Yeah. But I mean, if that is what self-care means to you, oh my goodness, then definitely do that. Some people, even as, of course, there's been a lot of memes out there and a lot of women who've been talking about not being able to get their hair done or get their nails done, get their feet done. And yes, because of the situation that we're in now. But hey, maybe just wash your own hair. Yes. I color my hair, but it's in a hat because cutting is not my talent. Pastor Yo, it is not my talent. But just letting that water just roll over your head and just kind of soothe your scalp. Reading can be self-care. And I'm going to even go on a limb and say this: reading smut can be self-care. Yeah. Yes, the pastor said this. Because think about this: if your day consists of very high-level, intellectual, thought-provoking reading that you must go through daily, you need a moment for your brain to relax. Yeah. And that it's not that something you have to process or try to figure out how you're going to save the world. It's really brain candy. Got it. So it's something that's self-care because you're allowing your brain just time to rest. Watching Netflix, watching Hulu, sitting watching TV can be self-care. I love Golden Girls. I will watch Golden Girls season 1, episode 1, and laugh hysterically like I've never seen it before. And there are shows I can recite and I will still laugh like I've never even seen it. That's my form of self-care. If I've had a pretty stressful day, I can watch a couple of episodes of The Golden Girls and I will feel so much better.
Yeah.
And quiet time, meditation, that's self-care. That is allowing your spirit and your brain to settle. Yeah. I think that is just so important. I know I've said this before. It's so important for it to just, we have to quiet down the outside noise. And that's, turn off the news. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Yes, it's important to know what's going on. If you figure out a time of the day, which news segment you're going to watch to get an update on what's happening with COVID-19. But turn it off. Don't watch it all day. Yeah. You need to allow some other things into your ear gates so it can help settle your spirit.
Absolutely.
If you are a person of faith and you are a Christian and you read your Bible or read your Quran or read your Torah, and to help center yourself back on God.
Definitely.
Or, for those who, a higher power, those who call God by another name, whatever you call him, center yourself back on that, knowing that you are not alone in this. And so getting into your Bible and getting into your word and letting those things, those scriptures resonate in your spirit.
Yeah, certainly. What about those for working? Well, you kind of answered it. My question was going to be, what advice do you have for people working from home? But I guess my suggestion, if you allow me to jump into your seat for a second, is to set a particular space for work. Yeah. So your space for work needn't be the same space for where you're cooking or where you're meeting with your kids. Right. Because you kind of need some separation. There's a meme around. It's like, where are you traveling on your next trip? Is it to, they took a spin on on the name of each room of the house and made it seem like it was an island, the kitchen, the living room. Right. Because you have to, focus and go somewhere else mentally, but then physically. And since that space is limited, you want to make sure that space remains sacred. Or even if
absolutely.
Or even if you can't, then change it. So if I have my computer in this particular space at the kitchen table because that's the best space to, pick up the internet signal for some reason, then that means that when I'm back in the kitchen with my family, I need to put that laptop away. It needs to be completely out of sight. Now, Pastor Yo, I'm an extrovert. I like people most of the time. And I get along well with most people. And I've seen and heard people say extroverts are struggling. Now, I'm not, because as an extrovert, I still value my alone time. So I'm good. But, what is the difference between the way an introvert and an extrovert would cope during a stay-at-home order? Because, everybody's not the same. Obviously, you can't paint everybody with a broad brush. But for me, I'm fine because I socialize with you guys during my virtual parties. Or, I'm on social media. This has been, social media was made for somebody like me. But everybody is not into that. What is the difference between the way those two types of people can cope?
And just before I start, I'm not an expert in the different behaviors, but just understanding on a very basic level from the different ways that we interact with each other. I believe I think there's a misnomer, a misconception that there are some introverts who are not struggling. Right. I believe that there are some introverts who are struggling with the shelter in place because of the feeling that, yes, I like my alone time. I like my isolation, but it's my isolation. No one is forcing it on me.
That's it, right
and
there.
So it's the forced isolation that may have some introverts struggling as well. For the extrovert, I believe to help cope, I think for everyone, staying connected with the chatting, the virtual parties, the texting, actually dialing the phone number on your phone and hearing someone's voice, being intentional with connecting with people.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be long drawn out. And you know who, you know that there are people in your circle that would love to have a long conversation. Like my mom. My mother can talk, and I love it. So I know when I'm going to get ready to call her, I wait. I make sure I don't have a meeting coming up.
Right.
That I have some free time, because I know we can stay on the phone for over an hour. That's just regular for us. I also know that there are some people that all I need to do is send them a quick text, 3 lines, they're good. And they are extremely happy with me reaching out through text.
Yes.
And so I believe for everyone, for the extrovert, make sure you stay connected. And for everyone, it is okay to say, hey, I need you.
Yes.
And so if that means, well, you know what, let's do this Zoom party. And I had a friend who's like, well, I don't know how to do Zoom. We're going to walk through it right now. Open up your phone. It's super easy. And this is what we're going to do. And so it's, I think in this season, we really need to be okay being vulnerable, saying, I need to hear from you. I need to hear your voice. I need to some kind of way feel connected with you. And as like for the extroverted, you have introverted family and friends. We have to be intentional to make sure we still reach out to those introverts. Yeah. Hey, I'm just letting you know I'm thinking about you. Absolutely. If it's, hey, you want to get on a Zoom call, just you and I, or you want to do FaceTime, or for those who have, those non-Android users using FaceTime. There are so many apps and avenues that the phone companies have created so we can still stay connected in this season and in this time. I mean, I thought it was just so wonderful. Netflix have the joint viewing party, so you can share the movie you want to watch with your friends, and then you all can kind of watch together and chat about it, typing about what's going on in the movie. I thought that was just so awesome.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
How ingenious. Yeah. How ingenious of Netflix to say, hey, let's try to make sure we still encourage the shelter in place, but also connection.
Yeah.
So I think that it's, for both, and even those who fall in the middle, for those who have who are a little bit introvert, a little bit of extrovert, I think those ambiverts are in a unique place as well, because they understand both sides. Yeah. And so those are usually the ones who will definitely make sure they reach out to the people that's in their community who falls on both sides of the spectrum. Right. And just one of the things I want to go back to your question about those who have to work from home, and totally agree, find your quiet space to work in. But I also think too, make sure you communicate with your family that these are the times that I'm working. Sure. And stick to that time. Have a start and end time. Because what can happen, you feel like you're working from home, and then you look up and you've worked straight through. You haven't gotten up. It's 5 hours. You've been on constant conference calls, video calls. You didn't get up to go eat. Right. You didn't get up to go stretch. You didn't go and play a quick game of hide and seek with your 3-year-old.
Nice. Yeah.
Take the time and stop.
Yeah, because
and then when your work day ends, end it. Exactly.
Otherwise, you become anxious and jittery, and now it kind of goes into my next question. How can those who are sheltered in place with others, like I'm by myself, I'm good. Me and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, but those who are sheltered in place with 2, 3, 4, or if they're more in the house, how can they operate and not damage relationships by saying the wrong thing in a moment of anger or anxiety? Or do the wrong thing. You know, how can people maintain that sense of community when they don't get to escape from the community, so to speak?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, again, it goes back to communicating. Okay. We just have to we cannot be afraid to communicate. And we can even say, hey, I am frazzled. I'm frazzled. You know, something could have happened at work. You could have just ended a call, and those parents who's working with their children who have no clue what they're doing, and trying to encourage their kids to do their work, and trying to, work with the teachers and their teachers who are also parents, and so they're teaching their own kids and trying to be there for their students, and so it's just the whole gamut. So everyone gets frazzled, and I think in the very onset you have to say, you know what, everybody, we are going to get testy. We may get on each other's nerves. We have to say, we're going to go to our corner. Right. Everybody retreat. Everybody retreat. Even if everyone can't go to a separate room, go to a separate part of the same room that you're in. Because and focus on one singular activity, because communication is the foundation of it all. Sure. And we have to be okay to say, I'm just a little stressed. Children are getting stressed too. Absolutely. They want to run around and jump up and down, and we looking at them like, why are you flipping down a hall for the 5th time? Because they got all this energy. And so, kids are snapping back for the little thing, and parents are getting upset because kids are stressed too. And we just have to be honest and just say, hey, I know, and allow you the space to be frazzled. I think we don't give ourselves the opportunity to and I want to say this in the right way, lose it a little. Sure. I spoke to a young lady, and we were talking about crying earlier this week, and I said, hey, it's perfectly okay to cry. Please. Because I'm a crybaby. So I'll cry in a minute. But crying, I know that crying for me is also a point of self-care for me. Yep, gotta let it out. Because I know I gotta let it out. And it feels like I'm being washed over. So I give myself a big cry, and a big ugly cry, and the old cry when you were 7 years old, and you can feel it in your gut, and it just come out, and you have that moment where you feel like your breath is being taken away, and no sound is coming out for like 10 seconds, and then the big howl come out. Yes, do that. Yeah. If that's going to make you feel better, do it. That's excellent. And I think that's a good space to wrap. I think that what all of us can take away from the shelter in place directives and taking the time to reconnect is to take this opportunity to remember that you're human. You are going to experience all levels of emotion, and it's okay to walk through them. Don't stay there, but walk through them. Pastor Yolanda Battle, pastor of Congregational Care Purpose Church and grad student in the mental health counseling program at Roosevelt University, we thank you so much for being our resident expert. Again, you are listening to TLC Talk Radio's TashaTalkz. I'm your girl Tasha. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Catch us every day on TLCTalkRadio.com, 24/7 edutainment. We'll catch you next week.